the biggest story in Miami, and that would be Jalen Ramsey?
That's a great place to start because hopefully, while we even talk, there is chance that the final chapter could officially be written in Miami for Jalen Ramsey. Look, once the word mutually agreed or mutually parted, once that terminology is used, which it was last week with defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, it's a matter of when and who. It's not a matter of if. Jalen Ramsey will be traded. He's not in OTAs, and it's a matter of what they can probably get for a veteran defensive back, but really still could be near the top of the heap in terms of what he still brings to the table. He still has a lot of football left in him. It's just not going to be played in Miami. It's just hopefully going to be for relatively decent compensation. And there's probably 2 or 3 teams really in the mix.
Better be in the NFC. Don't you be trading him out of the AFC.
Yes. That is something that Greer does a lot of business generally. There's definitely a good sprinkle of NFC teams that he's had a history of business with. Now, he had business with the Rams when he acquired Jalen Ramsey, who are a team right now that may be in the mix to get him back. Of course, a lot of give and take literally has to go with what a fair compensation is.
Okay.
But I put 2 other NFC teams in. Justin Mello, a colleague who writes for the Draft Network, wrote an article where he pinpointed the Commanders and the Cowboys as potential destinations. The Commanders make a heck of a lot of sense because there are plenty of years left on a rookie quarterback that hit already with Jaden Daniels. So there's money to be played with to go get a star like a Jalen Ramsey. Is the draft capital going to be something that's for someone as good as Jalen Ramsey? Let's remember that they did technically steal him with paying a relatively low draft pick, a third, I believe, and Hunter Long, tight end. That was a third-round pick. So you never know what the market will call back from Miami to basically recoup prior losses to trading for Ramsey. It did not work out.
So I'm assuming then that the contract, there's no issue with trading him. There's not going to be it's not a big deal there.
That's part of it. I mean, that's part of it. It's a matter of what money the Dolphins are going to eat on top of accepting the compensation. Now, what Chris Grier has done in other deals is make deals before a deal. What I mean by that is sometimes he's generated some capital to do business elsewhere. And when he made the trade this past April in the draft with trading out, he traded up in the second round to get Jonas Savayanea from Arizona, offensive tackle or offensive guard, rather. He was going to play in the NFL. And then in the 4th round, he traded out with the Houston Texans, and he moved back into the 5th. And he also required a 2026 third-round pick. Now, I've been hoping that is parlayed to dangle that with Jalen Ramsey to simply upgrade the pick 32 rungs. If you're a Rams team, specifically them, they own 2 first-rounders. They're not in the 4th round. They have enough capital where they can maybe take their second round, downgraded a step to a Dolphins 3rd, not lose anything in net selections.
Yeah.
So it's basically the Dolphins knowing, or Grier hopefully knowing, if the Rams are a partner again, that, all right, we're going to eat some money. We're not going to ask you to lose a pick. We're giving you back the pick. Look, you want to go to a Super Bowl? We just want to make this pick 60 to 62 instead of 94 to 95 or 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that's the route that they decide to go.
Any chance that it'll be a player for player type of deal, sort of like, because I'm not even sure what the heck is still going on in Green Bay. I mean, I don't know whether or not they're going to, whether or not that is still, so is that a possibility or do you think that the Dolphins really, this is just about recouping some sort of draft capital? That's the most important thing that you think Grier is looking for instead of trying to bring in a player like an Alexander or someone else that could help him right now, right away?
Well, hopefully it's the cake and eat it too mindset where you're saving money with the money that you get back, which pretty much after the cap that they would have to eat versus dead money, maybe they're recouping $3 to $5 million this year, or whatever the math works out. They could recoup a couple of million. They'll have to deal with dead cap, but hopefully they can obtain a pick too. I don't think they're importing a salary to wash it.
Okay.
I think they are let's build up capital. let's also save as much money as we need. Because what they also need to do, and we'll probably talk about this with another player scenario going on, they might need to find a couple of $1 million to keep another player home who is a quality player who had a record-breaking year for them last year.
Okay, well, let's talk about that player. And so when did the Jonnu Smith news all of a sudden become news?
Well, there's a lot going on in the football world right now. No, there's not. It's the summer. It's just the start of the summer. So everyone's got that, all right, we're almost here. But there is business to be done. And people are going to talk about an Adam Schefter tweet when he simply states a few days ago, the Dolphins were sorting after trade partners. You have to understand, we all have to understand what happened here. Jonnu Smith did not request a trade. Jonnu Smith reportedly requested a renegotiation of a deal to hopefully keep him in Miami. Look, he's going to be 30 years old. He's entering his 9th season. There's a ton of mileage in the tank, but he's got the last year on a 2-year contract in which he came to Miami with last year. So the hope is a rework. Let's get another year. Let's make a little bit more money because he's the 32nd ranked paid tight end. And after, 80 plus receptions, 800 some odd yards, and 8 touchdowns, he needs to be above that rung as the last starting tight end paid in the NFL if you really want to get technical. So when the Dolphins heard reworking of deal, I want more money, the knee-jerk reaction lately has been, well, we're going to see if we can get a lottery ticket for you. And they went after a trade partner. They were talking with the Steelers, who hung up the phone. They were no longer interested. But now in the last 24 hours, 36 hours, there's a OTA injury with one of their tight ends, and now supposedly they're back in the mix. But there's a lot that has to go on with a lot of things before moves are made. I hope they stay and keep Jonnu Smith, because a lot of people think he was a one-year journeyman with just one good statistical season. It's not necessarily the case. The Dolphins Twitter is all about, all right, either we're going to trade him for a pick, great, or, oh, no, we got to keep him. There's kind of a 50-50 split. But Smith fell into just such a perfect scenario last year after not really ever being in a perfect situation. The last good situation he was in was right before Miami, where he set career highs in targets, receptions, and yardage with Arthur Smith's Atlanta Falcons, and now Smith is in Pittsburgh, where you tie the dots between that. Prior, in New England 2 seasons, Smith was predominantly a second targeted tight end and 5th overall targeted pass catcher. He's got about 49 targets and 28 targets in his 2 seasons with the Patriots. So he's never really had an opportunity to be kind of the man, and look at what he did last year. And he's a leader. In this case, I really would hope the Dolphins kind of go a little off book and keep him as opposed to trading for a day 3 pick.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, well, okay. While we're on this roll with these players, and we'll put a nice little bow tie to it when we're done with it. But let's just roll on now, since we're doing this, to Tyreek.
Right.
So what's going on there? Because it's almost like I'm feeling, and again, obviously the outside point of view, well, wait a second. Now they're getting rid of Ramsey for sure. They may get rid of Jonnu Smith. And I'm looking at this tight end unit here, and there's nothing there that I could see if Jonnu Smith goes. And then you have Tyreek Hill. Why wouldn't the Dolphins just at that point say, let's kind of go with a 1-year rebuild and let Hill go, and we'll save money there, and Ramsey's gone and Smith is gone, and we'll try to just save money, put a lot into the next year's free agency in the draft, and then be good again in 2026.
That may very well be the mindset in theory, but the implementation might not be very easy specifically.
Oh, I can see, yeah.
With the Jalen Ramsey deal is one thing, but you ask also what kind of, and I hate to say it, what baggage comes with that. Tyreek Hill has a very big Louis Vuitton bag of baggage versus what could be a little,
100%
over the shoulder little for Ramsey. Not as much drama to come with Ramsey where there would be with Hill. So you're going to have to ask a team to eat money and take on the potential social media ramifications. I'm going for 2,000 yards ramifications, which to me, I get it, would be great.